what you're saying is very spicy.
Ooh.
Because what I'm hearing you say is social media is not all that it's cracked up to be, whereas Pinterest is the slow burn. Natalie, welcome to the Blogger Genius.
Hi, Jillian. Hello, everyone.
I'm going to cut to the chase. You are a Pinterest expert. How are people making money using Pinterest?
Oh my gosh, there's so many ways. Okay, so when we're talking about Pinterest, think about it as turning up the tap. So if you only have a trickle of people coming to your website, a trickle of email subscribers, or a trickle of sales, whether that's affiliate products, your own products, think about it as having the ability to just increase the pressure. So to me, Pinterest is that top of the funnel, right? And to anyone who's like, what's a funnel? Think of it as how people enter your ecosystem, how they learn about you. It's that first point of contact, right? So what's wonderful about Pinterest is that it's a search engine. So the time you put into it is going to repay you for months and years to come, right? It's not social media where you have to keep posting endlessly, or one post is like a flash in the pan and then nobody ever sees it again. It's the complete opposite of that, right? So if you want to make money through ad revenue, you can do that by increasing your clicks. If you want to make more sales of your own product or your coaching or your services, you can definitely do that by getting more people into your funnel, onto your email list, to your webinars, to your events.
Okay,
right?
so what you're saying, I feel, is very spicy.
Ooh.
Because what I'm hearing you say is social media is not all that it's cracked up to be, whereas Pinterest is the slow burn if you're willing to invest the time.
It's the slow burn that's going to keep burning, right? So to me, I feel like if we're going to run with this metaphor, think about it like you're out in the cold and you just have to keep putting on these little tiny logs to keep yourself warm, right? Whereas, a log, if we're talking about Pinterest, it's going to burn longer, it's going to burn brighter, and it's going to keep you warm so you can go to sleep and be okay. So to me, that's the difference.
Okay, and I'm going to say I completely agree. I have found myself turning away from Instagram or feeling like it's okay if the cool kids are on Instagram, but I'm not showing up there as much because I've never seen the return on Instagram like I have on Pinterest.
I love that you call them the cool kids. Like, I don't need to hang with the people who want to dance and like make all these videos about how amazing their life is. I get it. I want to be where the people who take action are. And those people are on Pinterest.
Exactly.
They're not scrolling, they are searching.
Pinterest is for people looking for solutions. All I talk about is what problem do you solve? And if you know that problem, then you can, and you tell me if I am right, put pins up that say, I solve this problem, I'm your person, click.
Yes, right? So whether, I think we all got to create content. It doesn't matter what type of business we have. Creating content is a way to connect with your ideal customer, to flex that authority, to show them that, hey, I'm the person who can help you, right? And so whether that content is in the form of a blog post, a YouTube video, a podcast episode, a great place for you to put it, or even a short form video, a great place for you to put it is on Pinterest, right? And you link it directly to that content. And what's amazing that I love is people can just click, and Pinterest users know how to click. I don't have to bend over backwards saying, comment whatever to get the thing, or link in bio. Like, none of that nonsense is required, right? They can just click.
What I'm hearing you say is the two benefits right off the top about Pinterest is people are there for a very specific reason, rather than I'm in line somewhere at the DMV and I'm just going to be scrolling and I'm not going to be taking action. Whereas I'm on Pinterest to take action, to learn. And two, it's much easier then to get to the content, which what we're talking about is getting into your funnel.
Yep, they can go right there.
That makes a ton of sense. So what I wanted to ask you then is, if I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to pull back, let's say on Instagram, but I want to be active on Pinterest to get organic traffic. things that I know is you need to show up consistently. You need to be pinning a lot. You need to be creating a lot of different pins. Is that true? And what is the strategy in order to get my pins in front of the right people so that I get actual traffic?
Yes. Okay. So I will break it all down. And in case anyone was just listening and they're like, oh, that sounds like a lot and it could take forever. I'm seeing an account right now that has started the strategy I'm about to share with you. And within 30 days, she saw a 35% increase in views, in clicks, and in saves to her pins in 30 days, okay? And, it's back in the olden days of Pinterest, they would say you need to pin 10, 20, 30 times a day. And there are some tech bros out there telling you that you still need to do that. It's not true. You don't need to pin that many times. You need to pin that many times when you have no strategy, when you don't know what your keywords are, when you're not in alignment with what your audience needs. Spoiler alert, Pinterest is a seasonal platform. So if you want to get results fast, you want to tap into the seasonal trends. So we're seasonal human beings, right? So if we're going into the summer and we're business owners, what are we worried about? The summer slump, right? Like that's one topic that perhaps, Jillian, your audience needs help with, right? So if you tap into those seasonal trends, you're going to have better success. So to get started, I always encourage everyone, go find out what your keywords are. It's a search engine, so just use the search bar, click on that magnifying glass, or go to Pinterest Trends, which you have access to with a free Pinterest business account. Figure out what your keywords are.
So how many keywords should I identify? Let's say I'm a coach, and let's say I deal with gut health, which is something we were talking about. So tell me, how do I find the keywords that are relevant, and then how to create seasonal keywords that revolve around gut health that could help me? And
For sure.
How many?
Yeah, so to start, you always want to optimize your profile. I'd say 3 to maybe 5 keywords is good. So maybe gut health is that main keyword. And maybe you're going to say, whatever your name is, gut health specialist, or, whatever it is. If you're a nutritionist, functional dietitian, whatever your spiel is, you want to include that, right? Then you want to write a bio. Your bio is going to say who you are, who you help, and how. And you're going to layer in those keywords. Then we're going to figure out what are the links we're going to share on Pinterest. I always say having around 10 is a good place to start. Whether those are blog posts, podcasts, YouTube videos, offer pages, your Facebook group, whatever it is, let's have like 10 links. So to get into the seasonality of it, as a person with gut issues, I can tell you, doesn't matter what the holiday or season is, I've got an issue related to it, right? So how to, eat, not worry about like going to like a picnic, for example, or going out to eat at a restaurant, or, Thanksgiving dinner, or going on vacation with gut issues. That's a big issue, right? So these are all seasonal issues, but it's the core topic of gut health, right? So you would go and start searching and figure out what are those keywords that you can relate to them. So once you know what your links are, once you know what your keywords are, I invite you to, or encourage you to design a handful of templates, pin templates, right? That you can recycle and reuse for each of your links. So whether that's 5 templates, you can buy them, you can customize them. So if you don't know what your pins should look like, go look at the search results for your keywords, because it's telling you, it's literally telegraphing to you, these are what the pins we want for this search query, right? So design pins, and then you just crank them out, right? You have 5 templates, you create 5 for each link, and then what's great is that you can just schedule those pins out.
So let's say then I've got 50 pins.
Yep, you got 50 pins. That can last you 50 days, for example, if you want to get started.
You're thinking 1 pin per day.
To start, right? You can start slow, and steady is going to win the race. There's no point in burning out. This is what's so bad about the advice to pin 10, 20, 30 times a day. It's unreasonable. You're just going to burn out, and what we want is consistency. That's how we win. We win by showing up over a long period of time, but you burning out doesn't accomplish anything except maybe you hate Pinterest now because you're too tired, right? So let's not do that.
Are you using the Pinterest scheduler? Do you recommend a tool like Tailwind?
So yeah, I actually saw on the Pinterest website, they now themselves are telling people that if you want to schedule more than 10 pins per day, more than 30 days at a time, to go use Tailwind, and there's a link.
Okay.
So
Funny.
you
Okay.
can use the Pinterest website to pin your content. It allows you to pin 100 pins max, 10 max per day, 30 days out. So if
Okay.
you want to batch farther than 30 days, then you do need a paid scheduler. And yes, Tailwind is a pretty great one. They've got lots of new features coming out, so that's a tool you can use. But there are many schedulers. Just make sure it's a partner of Pinterest and not just like, some off the beaten path random AI tool you shouldn't be using.
Here's a question. Where does AI fit into your Pinterest strategy?
So maybe we can talk about where it doesn't fit, because I feel like everyone's trying to use AI to do everything, and that's not the way to go about it. So for one, AI tools like ChatGPT cannot do keyword research for you. They don't have access to the information on Pinterest. So you've got to do your keyword research on Pinterest, and it's not hard with the search bar and tools like Pinterest Trends. Where you can use a tool like ChatGPT is to help you to write your pin titles and your pin descriptions, but you want to get into the habit of writing those first for yourself. Like, having success with AI is knowing what your voice is, having good examples to train the AI so that it writes like you, and it's not just like running away with it, doing what it thinks is correct, right? So you want to make sure you have sound examples to teach it. And so when we talk about AI, there's also designing pins, right? Right now on Pinterest, for certain niches, AI is a little bit out of hand in terms of there are a lot of fake blogs that are dominating in search results, particularly in food, DIY and crafts, and like home decor. And this is problematic because the people who are using AI to write content, for example, whether it's a recipe or DIY arts and craft, it's not actually realistic. The recipes aren't correct, and it's teaching DIY crafts that are not humanly possible, right? So that's how not to use AI.
Now, is Pinterest onto this? Are they?
So if you have a pin image that has been modified by AI, it will have the AI modified tag on it, and people can now opt out of seeing AI pins. So as far as I'm concerned, if you have pin templates, it really doesn't take you a long time to design pins. Like, if you're willing, I always feel like there's this willingness to spend all this time making reels, but if I say go design, 5 pins per link, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can't do that. But I'm like, girl, you're in your room recording all these reels that are doing nothing for you. Like,
Exactly.
it's a graphic. You don't have to dance.
And by the way, I shared this with you before we pressed record. We are running for My Little Tree Pinterest ads, and they're doing really well. And I want, and we got on a call with we have a Pinterest expert we get to talk to optimize our ads. And the first call that we got on, the guy said, here's what I recommend you do. Go to Pinterest Trends and see those top trending topics. And by the way, he goes, it's always nails. Nails are all the time, every day. And he said, put those words in your description. So you think, well, I sell a tool to help people sell digital products, grow their email list with freebies, grow their social media followers with pop-ups. Like, how does that relate to nails? And what he said is put into ChatGPT, like when you're creating your description with your keywords, right? So, but who knows? Maybe somebody who does nail art also wants to sell a nail art ebook. Or helps people like teach something to get into nail art. So when I said that to ChatGPT, hey, here's what we do, and can you make this work for people who are interested in summer hairstyles and nail art and whatever? It was amazing because ChatGPT enabled us to put those keywords in a way that made sense. And enabled the AI to test our pins with audiences that we would never have thought to get in front of. And I thought that was like revolutionary. So it's funny that I would never think in terms of my keywords that those relate, like you're talking about seasonality And that's really what he was saying. Can you make a connection between Milo Tree and nail art? And I initially was like, that doesn't make any sense. However, I don't know, maybe these nail art people interested in nail art are trying to grow their businesses, and this would make sense for them.
Yeah, for sure. So like I would always ensure that there's a real connection and we're not just keyword stuffing. Because yes, it's great to get your pins in front of more people, but we want to make sure those are our people. Otherwise, your click-through rate is going to be not good, right? Because
Absolutely.
if people are seeing it and they're like, that's not for me, but sometimes we do have to stretch the bounds of what our keywords are, especially if we're not finding keywords that are entirely, what we're looking for or what we think our audience is looking for. And you do have to find a way to expand the container a bit. Like, how can I make this not so specific, right? So, instead of just talking about like how to sell a digital product, maybe we're expanding it to, okay, who would want to sell a digital product? Is it coaches, course creators, online business owners, bloggers, right? So that already like triples or quadruples the amount of keywords that you can use instead of just saying, how do I sell digital products online, right? That's
Absolutely.
So like they already know that that's the solution, but how can you reach the people who are not even at the awareness point yet, right?
Absolutely. And for me, when I think about Pinterest, I think about how, and this is where I think AI can be very beneficial. You see your own business kind of with blinders on, like this is who I serve, this is what the problem I solve. And I think that AI can broaden that view. So for example, let's say I'm a jewelry designer. Like, what other use cases can there be for jewelry? Maybe it's a great bridal shower gift, but I wouldn't have thought about my bracelets as bridal shower gifts. But by saying to ChatGPT, hey, what are all the ways in which my bracelet could be attractive to people? Because I only think of it in these like 3 different buckets, right?
For sure.
And so to go, whoa, what are other, and then how can I create pins around these different use cases that I would never have thought of?
Yeah, you can definitely use AI to brainstorm, right? To conceptualize and help you to make these connections. 100%. That's how you should be using it for Pinterest.
So when you're saying that people get intimidated when you're going, okay, just make 50 pins, and you go, well, how are they all then different? If you can come up with 50 different use cases and then you're linking to different pieces of content or whatever, you can start to hone in. It's like you're putting a bunch of fishing rods out to see which ones are getting traction.
For sure, right? And unless we're playing around and experimenting with what we're putting out there, we can't know what's working, right? So I think something I'm very big on is, yes, targeting seasonal content, designing multiple pins, being consistent, but you definitely want to, I encourage, say every 3 months, stop, scroll back, see what's hitting. Which of your pin designs are actually getting clicks? Like, is there a certain template that no one ever clicks on? Then you retire that and you come up with a new one, right? So you definitely want to always have an aspect of analysis and reflection, because that's how we improve and we get better results with less effort. Because, it's the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of what we do is responsible for 80% of our results.
Yep.
So what if we did that 100% of the time?
Totally. When you started and said, hey, 50 pins, let's say 1 per day. And that was, you said, to start.
Yeah.
Now, how many pins am I going to ultimately, is it better? Is more better? If I could create, 20 pins, I'm not saying I'm going to do this, 20 pins a day that are all different and unique and wonderful, am I going to get 20 times the reward?
It depends. Like, it's really hard to know. Like, with any search engine or any platform, how fast you grow or how many clicks you get or how many sales you make really is dependent on the interest in what you're offering, right? Like the search volume for the keywords you're targeting. So one person might do that and have amazing results, and another person might do that and not have any. But either way, I would say it's excessive and unnecessary, because you still have all these other things to do in your business, right? And, maybe you need to go create more content. Maybe you want to go make an ebook or launch a product, right? So we can't just have all of our energy being wrapped up on any platform, because then we're not actually working on our business. We're just kind of like, what is it the saying? Like, you're in the business, but you're not actually working on the business.
So could one pin a day be enough?
If you're highly targeted and in a niche with a lot of interest, yes, right? For many years, I was only pinning once. Like, I went traveling for over a year, and I think I had one pin going out, and I still was maintaining my traffic. But also I had a back catalog of pins because I had pinned for so long. So if we're starting with one, once that becomes manageable, then you can increase to say 2 or 3 pins a day. But I firmly believe that there's no reason to ever pin more than, say, 5 times a day, because then it just becomes so much and it becomes like so consuming. And I want you to still have energy to go do these other important things, right?
Let's talk about where you see the most success. When I started and I said, how do people make money on Pinterest? And you listed off a whole host of things. So you can grow your email list with Pinterest by sending them to a landing page or a blog post or anywhere that has a really good opt-in or freebie. And I talk a lot about that on my YouTube channel and all, like how to hone in on that. I could potentially get traffic to my blog. And Google, by the way, now is totally upending search. And that is not where I would be putting a lot of my eggs in my basket, is monetizing via traffic, just because that's a hard play. You need a lot of traffic to make money that way.
But one thing I will say is that Pinterest traffic is more valuable than Google or Bing traffic. If I look at my ad revenue, it's about 3 to 4 times as valuable, meaning you'll earn 3 to 5 more times per 1,000 clicks than you would from Google. So,
and I feel, and I feel like
Pinterest,
as Google traffic continues to decline, Pinterest is a good way. But that wouldn't be my only strategy.
No,
right
definitely
now.
not. It's more of a nice little plus on top of things. Like, I feel like there's so many ways to make money. You just have to know what your way is. You need a plan. The plan can't just be like, I want more views, I want more clicks. Yeah, we want that, but for what?
Right.
Like, where are you sending people? Do you have a funnel? Like, do you have an opt-in and an offer, right? If they sign up for your email list, do they go through a welcome sequence? Do you pitch them? Is there a tripwire? Do you upsell them? Do you have an email that has like an affiliate product in it? There's so many ways, but you need to sit down and figure out, okay, before I even get that click on Pinterest, where are they landing? If it's a blog post, is there an opt-in page, an offer, a freebie? And don't just say, join my newsletter. Nobody wants that, okay? They want something in return.
Absolutely. So here's a question. Could I just send a pin to a product and boom, somebody buys?
With the way things are going and how, you can Google it. There's like benchmarks on the amount of touch points to make a sale. It varies by industry. It varies by price point. For certain products, it can be up to 20 touch points, right? So,
and that means somebody has to see your product 20 times before they make a purchase.
So sure, you could just link to the sales page. You can do that, but why not also link to some content that gets them into your email list, where, say, there's a sequence and you mention it 5 times, that's 5 touch points right there, and then they see the pin again. So it's like, how can you stack those touch points, right? How can you increase the odds of making a sale? And if someone doesn't know who you are, think about it. Like, if you don't know a brand, if you don't know a product, are you going to buy it right away? I'd say most people take a minute. Like, if we think about user behavior on Pinterest, yeah, they might save that pin to their board. And, I think that's the beauty of a Pinterest pin, is that it becomes part of their story, a part of their vision and their dreams and their goals when they save it. And that's unique to Pinterest. Yes, people can save reels, but whoever goes back and looks at them, let's be honest. Whereas on Pinterest, it's right there front and center on their profiles, right? So they'll save that pin and maybe they'll come back to it. But why not also allow yourself to warm them up through all the other many ways of connection, right? It just, to me, like, that's good marketing, right? I don't think especially if you have something that's high ticket, it's going to take more than one pin.
And I think this is so the crux of everything. We want the simple solution, right? I create a digital product and boom, I send a pin to it, or like a purse or anything. Like I'm going to just send a pin to it and people are going to buy, the end. And if they don't buy, it's all a failure. And from what I'm learning about Pinterest, it's like the purchasing life cycle takes 6 months before somebody sees a pin and actually purchases. It's a really long life cycle.
I'd say it depends on the product, right?
Okay.
Like no matter what industry you're in, if you Google, like anyone who's listening, go look up to see like how long does it typically take for you to make a sale in your industry, right? And a well-positioned offer, why it ties back to the keywords. And to avoid keyword stuffing and pulling in all these words that aren't relevant to who your target audience is and what you're having to offer. Because if it is a well-timed pin that is perfectly for what someone is searching for, and they land on your site, whether it's a blog or they listen to a podcast or they see the offer, if it's aligned, the odds of them buying is going to be so much greater than if it's like wishy-washy and, oh, yeah, maybe, I don't know, let me save it for later,
Okay, what I love about what you are saying is strategy first, knowing your business, getting out of seeing your business from your perspective, and instead seeing your business from your customer or user's perspective and going, who is this person or these different types of people and how would they get to me? And then what do I need to do to make them comfortable, let's say to purchase or to join my list or to purchase my affiliate product or to come back to my website? And knowing them, so you see it almost outside in rather than inside out, and then build those pathways. And Pinterest is really the icing on the cake because this is what I always say, the funnel has to work first. Pinterest is not going to make your funnel work. You can test your funnel by sending pins to things, but at the end of the day, Pinterest won't fix your funnel.
Yeah, it's true. But also don't be panicked if you're like, oh, I don't have a funnel. You can still get started and figure it out and like build in deeper levels of your offer, like higher ticket as you go on. Like, unless one of the best ways to figure out who your audience is and what they need from you is to have an email list because you can just ask them.
Yes.
You can survey them.
Yes.
You can hop on calls and that's where the clarity comes, right? So,
well, it's funny, just as we build Milo Tree, it's amazing how you start very broad and you start understanding your funnel and who are the people who will sign up for your list. Who are the people who will try your free plan? Who are the people who will purchase? And then you recognize maybe there are a variety of different people interested in each step. And then how do you start to hone in and tweak your funnel so that you can continue to optimize? And the only way you can do this is by getting real people in it and seeing their behavior. So you have a hypothesis and you could be completely wrong, but you just start working. So I like what you're saying, which is let's start by using Pinterest to get people on your list. So what is one freebie that you can offer? And by the way, you could set it up in Milo Tree in 10 minutes, but that solves a real problem that people would be interested in, and just start there because that's your top of your funnel. And then once those people are on your list, that's when you can talk to them. That's when you can build the relationship. That's when you can send them other offers and products and services. But I would be like, if I had to start anywhere on Pinterest, it would be, let's see if I can start growing my list with Pinterest.
Yeah, because you can sell to your list at any time, right?
Yes.
Unlike social media where there's the algorithm and, I feel like perhaps what happened to Facebook many years ago is now happening to Instagram where you have no reach. But with email, you are right in their inbox. Like email's not going anywhere. It might seem like old school, but I do still think it is a great way to communicate and to make sales, right? Because you build that list and then you ask them what they need, you create the product, you write a quick email sequence, and money has come your way.
I love that. All right, Natalie. So
Yes.
you focus predominantly on organic Pinterest. So if people are interested, and I think many people are, in getting organic traffic through Pinterest, what do you offer and how can people reach out to you?
For sure. So if you are interested in getting more clicks, subscribers, and sales for free, no ads or social media required, you should go find me at yourpincoach.com. I've got many things for you. I've got my Pinterest best practices cheat sheet where I break down the 7 rules of Pinterest marketing. And I also have a free masterclass where I can show you, if you're interested in learning about seasonal keywords, learning about designing pins quickly and creating a strategy that's right for you. You should check out my free masterclass. It's right on my homepage, both of these things. And I also have, online courses. So check those out. But yeah, grab the cheat sheet, sign up for the free masterclass, and you can find me at yourpincoach.com.
Awesome. Well, I feel like as we're on our journey, I think Google is much more of a fickle partner, and Pinterest is proving again and again to be that like steady best friend.
Yes, I love that.
So, Natalie, this has been a pleasure. Thank you
Thanks
so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.